Beauty with a Bite, a paranormal reverse harem romance. Foxy Fairy Tales, Book 1. Written by Lacey Carter Andersen. Narrated by Danny Ryan. 1. Beauty. I am wearing the most expensive dress my parents have ever had fashioned. It's long, red, and cut low in the front. Normally, I'd love it, but not tonight. Because tonight, I'm being sold. This dress is not for me. It's for the men who will bid to possess me. Just the thought of it turns my stomach and makes my palms sweat. I'm not a thing to be owned. And yet, I will be. My stepmother comes up the stairs, her every movement filled with rage. Her anger is so powerful that it cuts through the fog of her innocent appearance. She fools many men, including my father, into believing she isn't dangerous. She appears as a golden-haired angel wearing a strangely youthful pastel blue gown, but she is much more than that. She is a puppet master, and all men are her puppets. She turns in my direction and I stiffen, preparing myself for the inevitable. Beauty! She says my name the way she always does, like it's ironic. Like I'm some ugly creature named Beauty as a joke to all. Secretly, I think she believes that if she says my name like this enough, that's exactly what I'll become. She forgets that she's only been a cloud over my life for the last 8 years. Before that, I had 13 years of being spoken to as if I mattered. I remembered how my mother would say my name, even when she was dying, like I was her whole heart. Some things you never forget. Beauty, she says again, as her gaze crawls over my body. What are you doing skulking here? We're all waiting for you. I don't want to do this, I say, holding her gaze. She strides towards me and grabs my arm in a painful grip. I know you always believed that you'd become one of us on your 21st birthday. That you would become a vampire of worth, and that all your father's wealth and properties would become yours. Her smile is cruel as she gazes down at me. But you didn't take after your magnificent father. You took after your human mother, and you know what that means. You inherit nothing. You are nothing but a burden to your father and your people. So today, you will do what is expected of you, which is to make yourself useful in the only way you can. You will become the blood wife to a vampire, just like we discussed. If you don't make a good impression, instead of becoming the blood wife to a wealthy lord of worth, you will become a thing, suckled upon by some moderately wealthy old man, who will do things to you that you cannot even imagine. Unfortunately, I can imagine it. I can imagine it so well that I feel a clammy hand closing around my throat. The faces of a dozen of my father's creepy friends flash in my mind. I start to gag and grab my mouth, willing my lunch to stay down. Do not throw up, she commands. I swallow down the bile that's risen in the back of my throat and look toward the window. I could still run. I could. You won't make it, she says, amusement in her voice. The second you failed to turn, you became a prisoner in our home. The many, many undead that guard over these lands will simply find you and drag you back. She's right. The human cities are a good 30 miles from where I am. If I tried to run, they'd find me before I reached any place I could even hope to escape in. I already tried to steal a car, but the vehicles were guarded well, and I hadn't stood a chance. Beauty, the truth is that I don't care what happens to you. You've been a thorn in my side since the day I married your father. The fact that now my son will inherit your father's lands, well, that's all I ever hoped for. But your father will sleep more peacefully knowing that you were sold to a man of worth. So suck it up, Beauty. Face your fears. For your father. For the man who has agreed to this. I loved my father, but the minute he forced me into this old ritual, I lost faith in him. Our relationship was broken in a way that we'll never heal from. Not that I'll see him much after tonight. My stepmother's grip tightens as she tugs me toward the stairs leading toward our ballroom. The undead line this hall, animated because of the power of my family's blood. They wear armor over their pale green flesh, and their white eyes stare as if unseeing. But I know better. The undead see all, and they can overpower even a vampire. Despite all logic, my heart aches. On my 21st birthday, they should have been mine to command, mine to possess. Everything here should have been mine. It's truly like I've been cursed. When we reach the top of the stairs, my stepmother releases me. She smooths down the front of her gown and stares out at the massive ballroom. "Don't embarrass us. If we have to, we'll drag you down." With that, she starts down the stairs, not waiting to see if I'll follow. I stand still, feeling vulnerable in a way I never have before. I'm not a virgin, not to the feel of man's teeth sinking deeply inside of me, or the feeling of a man's cock. But this is different. This is wrong. But maybe they'll be here. The hairs on the back of my neck stand on end. They won't be here. Other than their letters, I haven't heard from them in 5 long years. As half-breeds, too, they despise other vampires. Yes, they rule their lands, triplets whose lands sealed them as rulers of a small manor and modest lands years ago. But that doesn't change their anger at the way the others treat them. They won't be back tonight, or any other night, so better buck up and paint a smile on. As much as I hated my stepmother, she was right. I couldn't escape this, but I could try to ensure my situation wasn't too awful. I take a deep breath, grasp one side of my skirt, and start down the stairs. With each step, I can feel more and more eyes on me, like an unwelcome caress. By the time I reach the bottom of the stairs, the conversation in the room has died down. Reluctantly, I raise my gaze. I stiffen in shock as I realize that nearly every North American clan is represented, and most of the clan members turned out. I see the younger men who rule their families' lands, but also the older, childless lords. My heart races. All the men stare, their unabashed hunger making my queasiness return. Don't puke, beauty. I continue forward. Men smile as they take my hand. They lean down and kiss the back of my hand like I'm a lady they're courting instead of a blood slave they plan to bid on. With a forced smile, stiff words, and shaking legs, I slowly make my way to my chair beside my father. He avoids my gaze as I sink into the seat beside him. He starts to rise, to begin the auction for my life. I look up to the stairs, to my untouchable freedom, and my gaze connects with intense green eyes. The air rushes out of my chest. The possessiveness of those eyes is like nothing I've seen in my life. The man they belong to? He's tall, broad, and muscular. A short beard almost manages to hide the strong lines of his face, but gives a dangerous allure that has everything inside of me tensing. 2 men flank him. I tear my gaze from him and find a man with light blonde hair at his side, pale blue eyes, and supermodel good looks. He wears classically tailored clothes, and I imagine he never has a hair out of place. He stares at me with something I don't understand, a familiarity. At last, I look to the third man. He's taller than the other 2, with messy brown hair, brown eyes, and a smug face. It's as if he knows that he's beautiful, and he drinks in the attention. Immediately, I recognize him. Andrew? My gaze narrows, and I look back at the auburn-haired man with the beard, the man I thought was a stranger at first. Joshua has changed so much. I don't think I'd recognize him beneath his beard if not for those green eyes. Ones I remember staring into far too many times. The blonde man? He can only be Kyle. He's just as beautiful as he's always been, but he looks like a man instead of a boy. The years have been good to these 3. I can see that staying away from us was what was best for them. So what brought them here tonight? What the fuck are they doing here? My father hisses, and I realize he's speaking about the Blackwater brothers. My stepmother pats his arm. Not to worry, they can't afford her. Afford me? They couldn't possibly be here to try to buy me, can they? My heart races. Why else would they be here? Beside me, my father draws himself up taller. The brothers move down the stairs, walking past the people who whisper at their backs but don't approach them. They move to stand in front of the other men and just before my father. Suddenly, it's hard to breathe. I think of the kisses we shared under the stars, and the letters we've penned to each other over the years. What I had with these men was special to me, and now they're going to see me sold to another man. Because my stepmother is right. There's no way they can afford to bid on me, and I hate that my treacherous heart is destroyed by the thought. 2. Joshua.
I can't take my eyes off Beauty. Over the years, she's grown to be even lovelier than the girl I fell in love with long ago. Her long brown hair falls down her shoulders in waves that my hands itch to touch. Even from a distance, I can see how tall she is, and that she still has the face of a seductive angel. But then there's her body. I bite down on a groan. Her curves beg to be touched. The low neckline of her gown is almost criminal, displaying the creamy skin of her flesh for all to see. Anger and arousal cause my fangs to lengthen. Beauty is mine. She belongs to no one but my brothers and me. We determined it years before. We had thought that when she gained possession of her lands and undead army, she could choose us as her own. Every day since we realized she was the one for us, we have worked to be worthy of her. Never could we have expected this. Our Beauty being sold off as a blood whore. It sickens me. Everything inside me screams in rage. When I learned that she would be auctioned off, I'd smashed everything in my room. I pounded everything within sight until my hands flowed with blood. Then, and only then, a cold knowledge had flowed through me. We would buy her, and she would be ours forever to hold and to protect. Her father's gaze collides with mine. I can see it in his eyes, the same rage I'd seen the night he'd caught us kissing, and commanded us never to return to his home, on penalty of death. He hated me, and he hated the mixed blood running through my veins. More than anything, he hated that I reminded him of his own mistake in falling in love with a human. He might be able to force everyone around him to treat his mixed-breed child with respect, but seeing how much our own people despised us made him have to face the truth, that his child was seen the same way. How could that man, the one who treasured his daughter too much to allow her to get mixed up with us, allow her to be auctioned off like this? He had options. What had driven him to this one? "Welcome, gentlemen," he says, barely raising his voice. The room grows silent. We all know why we're here. My Beauty has come of age, and as you know, she failed to turn. And so we must accept her place in our community. He freezes, and for a second I think he might not be able to force the words out. She will be a blood wife to one of you gentlemen, the one who wins her tonight. Everyone claps enthusiastically, and he sits on his throne. Maybe they didn't notice the slight pallor to his skin, but I did. Fucking coward. His wife rises and the bidding begins. My gaze sweeps back to Beauty. She sits like a queen with her head held high. Her gaze is cold and emotionless, but I know her too well. She's terrified. That's why her gaze lacks its usual warmth. Why she isn't smiling and laughing. She's buried her emotions and fears deep down inside. She sits beside her stepmother like an ice queen. Our Beauty is too warm and kind to allow her heart to turn to ice. When she knows she's safe with us again, she'll show us her true self once more. The bidding increases higher and higher. Men grumble and move back, allowing the active bidders to continue. I can sense the anger of our peers. They wonder why we stand in front, Why we haven't offered a single number, but soon they'll see. Two men continue back and forth. My gaze sweeps from beauty to them. The bastards were old, childless vampires. One had already overfed on 3 blood wives, killing them without thought. I had heard the rumors that the other had a fondness for breaking beautiful things. These are the only men willing to bid a fair price for her, because despite how lovely she is, they see her human half as a disadvantage. But soon, every vampire in this room will learn the truth, that we half-breeds are far more dangerous than they could ever imagine. The 2 men continue to bid, and with each second our woman grows paler. It must have hit her that these 2 are her only option now. I can't imagine the terror she must be feeling about her future. Don't worry, beauty. They will never touch you. The murderous old man scoffs and steps back, his face twisted in irritation. The brute grins and opens his mouth. 1,000,000, I say, my words ringing clearly through the room. All eyes turn to me. For 1 second, my resolve wavers. I'm the eldest by mere seconds. But even so, my brothers look to me for guidance. I was the one who decided we had to come here tonight. If anything should happen to them, it will be on my conscience for the short time before we die. I glance at beauty, and the moment vanishes. We all knew the risk of coming here tonight, but we also knew the reward. True love. That's, her stepmother begins, and I know what she wants to say, that my bid is more than we can afford. I challenge her with my gaze. Say it, you witch. The brute's chest flares out. He didn't want me to outbid him, but he wouldn't spend that much on something he only wants to break, even if it kills his pride to lose to us. Sold to the Darkwater brothers, her father says, and there's something in his tone that I don't expect. Shock, not anger. A few awkward claps ring through the room.
But of course,
Beauty's stepmother continues,
payment will be due tonight.
I force a smile. Of course. But that's the thing. We'd determined we'd win Beauty tonight at any cost. But we never had a chance at actually winning her. She would have never gone for an amount we could afford. So while we intended on winning her at any cost, we'd always known we wouldn't be playing fair. I want to feel bad about it, to feel this as a blow to my honor, but I can't. Beauty's gaze is locked onto us in relief, and honor means nothing. We'd give up anything for her, even our honor. I glance at my brothers. They give the slightest nod. It's now or never.
3. Kyle. I close my eyes and send a command to one of our undeads. He appears at the top of the stairs and moves down them, his steps awkward and clunky, like all undeads. In his hand is the briefcase containing every penny we could gather, all 300,000. As the men watch our undead approaching, I feel the tension in the air. They don't believe we have the money. Unfortunately for us, they're right. But we have a plan. It's a stupid gamble based on a fairy tale, but it's a plan all the same. Turning, I don't mean to catch Beauty's gaze, but I do. Unable to help myself, I take the first step up the dais leading to her. Her stunning brown eyes widen in surprise, and her hand extends as if instinctually. I take her hand, and the instant I do, I feel a tingle move between us. It's hard to breathe, hard to think as I lean down and brush a kiss on the back of her hand. It's impossible, unbelievable, that this beautiful woman could ever be ours. I've thought of her every day since we were forbidden to see her again. I missed you, she says so softly that I'm not sure if anyone other than her father and I can hear. I smile and force myself to release her hand. There are so many things I want to say, but my words are meant for a private moment, not as a public declaration. Looking back at my brothers, I realize just how close our undead is to delivering the suitcase. Joshua nods and we begin to whisper the words to the spell. The familiar words tangle through us, racing within our blood. I can sense the power building in my brothers. I can sense it growing,
expanding out around us. Our undead hands the suitcase to Beauty's stepmother. The volume of our spell grows. I sense gazes on us. A room full of warlocks would be scared right now, but these vampires have no idea what our mixed blood is capable of. My eyes connect with Beauty's. She frowns. I know she can hear our whispers. I know she can sense that something's off. Trust us. I will my expression to say to her. Her hands grip the arms on her chair, and I almost trip over my spell as I watch her rapidly rising and falling chest. That gown. I can't decide what I want more, to touch her like that lucky material touches her, or to rip it from her body.
This isn't enough.
Her stepmother slams the case closed, drawing my attention away. Her father rises. I should have expected treachery from... We don't stop speaking. Our powers grow stronger and stronger. And then it's time. It's time to unleash our magic and see if tonight we walk away with our beauty, or if we die.
4. Andrew. The spell explodes around us, cloaking the room in a golden light. I stagger, feeling that miserable sensation that always comes with using our warlock abilities. Like someone's pulling my intestines out and dangling them in front of me. And then the sensation eases. My eyes open and I look around the room. Everyone is staring at us, their expressions blank. My heart races. It didn't work. Oh, fuck, it didn't work. Everyone falls at once, collapsing onto the floor. The three of us stand in the middle of them, our backs to each other, looking out at each person. The sleeping spell. It actually worked. Told you. I can't help but smirk. For once, I'm glad, Kyle says, bumping my shoulder lightly. Joshua says nothing. He simply moves about the room, kicking at the people, making absolutely certain that the spell worked. Always the leader. Always the cautious one. I, on the other hand, turn to our beauty. To what's important. She slumped over in her chair, looking even more beautiful in her sleep. Only she's more like a stunning painting rather than the woman who claims our hearts. A sleeping beauty doesn't laugh, making those little crinkles at the corners of her eyes. And she doesn't pout, her bottom lip sticking out when she doesn't get her way. As I move closer to her, I instantly miss her, the real her. I kneel down beside her and prepare to scoop her into my arms, when her eyes pop open. Stiffening, I freeze. We hoped this would happen. Tailoring the spell to affect vampires shouldn't work well on a half-breed, as long as the others stay sleeping. Andrew? She asks, her voice breathless and intoxicating. I nod. She leans forward and presses her lips against mine. Every bit of logic flies out the window. Our carefully laid plans, the ones to escape as quickly as possible, are gone. There's nothing but the feel of her lips on mine. Nothing but her scent teasing my nostrils, flooding me with memories and desire. My hand digs into the back of her hair. She moans against my lips, and one of her hands rests on my chest. I feel the urge to sink my cock and teeth into her at the same time, to claim her as mine and form a full bond between us. I don't care where we are. I don't care if danger lurks in every shadow. One of my hands moves to the slit of her dress, pushes it open wider, and slides up her leg and along her inner thigh. When I reach her core, I nearly choke on my shock. She's not wearing underwear. Oh, fuck, she's not. Our kiss grows more desperate. She's like a wild creature, her arms holding me tighter. I use one finger to trail along the line of her opening. I wonder if she'll be wet for me. I wonder how tightly her inner muscles will hold my finger as I dip in and out of her. And I'm fucking ready to find out. Andrew. I'm yanked back. Snarling, I turn to the man foolish enough to get in between me and my queen. Joshua's green eyes are intense, filled with both desire and fear. My anger calms. He wants her too. He liked watching me kiss her and touch her, but he's more logical than I am. He's always been that way. Joshua's the practical one, the clear thinker. Me? I'm the idiot that fucks everything up. But I can't fuck this up. I have to stop. Okay, I tell him. He gives the slightest nod and looks to Kyle. Both men hold themselves as if prepared to fight. We'll have plenty of time for our sweet woman when we're all safe. I look down at Beauty. Her lips are swollen, and her expression is thoughtful as her fingertips graze her mouth. Oh, if she liked that, I can't wait to see what she thinks when we get her home. You want to go with us, or stay here? I ask her. Her gaze meets mine, and her hand drops. Is that even really a choice? For a second, I'm frozen. Her voice is soft and yet powerful, like an instrument strummed in the silence, vibrating through the air like a force greater than anything that can be seen. I'm pathetic, because god damn it, I've missed her voice. I've missed how it makes me want to crumble to my knees and worship at her feet. I shake my head, trying to clear my thoughts. What does a worshipper tell his queen in a moment like this? Unlike this little auction, it's absolutely your choice whether you go with us right now or not. Even without her fangs, Beauty is our queen. She will always decide what she wants. She will command us, and we will scramble to do her bidding, because that's what a queen like her deserves. Joshua speaks from behind me. And even though we're freeing you, we want to be clear, that doesn't force you to choose us. His words hurt all of us. Yes, we've risked everything to free her, but we know we're beneath her, and that we don't deserve her. Although we've never stopped loving her, she might not feel the same about us. We've discussed this possibility many times in the darkness of the night. We've tried to prepare ourselves for it, but even so, this woman can destroy us with her answer. She tilts her head, and a playful smile touches her lips. I'm afraid that I chose you long ago, and fangs or not, you belong to me. The three of us exchange grins, and some of the tension in the room fades. Then, my queen, we need to go, Kyle says. We have no idea how long this spell will continue to work. You're still in danger. She gives a simple nod. Then we go. As quickly as possible, I scoop her into my arms. A little gasp slips past her lips. Andrew, I can walk. I huff. Our queen never needs to walk. This time she laughs and her arms tighten around my neck. We start up the steps, past the slumped-over undead, no longer animated by her father's blood. We're halfway up the stairs when we hear a sound that makes the hairs on my body stand on end. An enraged howling. And then more howls join the first. Fucking werewolves? Kyle asks, his tone horrified. I look down at Beauty, who holds herself tensely in my arms. Why are there werewolves so close? Her big, frightened eyes lock onto mine. We've been at war with a neighboring pack. Our undead guard the border and keep us safe. But now, no one is guarding the border. Kyle doesn't say that the pack is likely invading Beauty's family's land from every direction. When they find the vampires sleeping, they'll tear them to pieces. Joshua starts to climb the stairs once more. Then all the more reason to hurry to get Beauty to safety. I start to follow him, but Beauty shakes her head. No, we can't just leave everyone to die. We don't have a choice, Joshua says, not slowing. If we wake the vampires, they'll take you from us. You'll be beaten, broken, and die a shell of yourself. Your life is worth more to us than all of theirs combined. I can't, Beauty says, her voice soft and filled with regret. My arms tighten around her. Beauty, wake them up. Her voice has that tone I've missed, the stubborn one I find so damn sexy. But it doesn't matter. We can't. We don't know how to. Suddenly, we hear glass crashing behind us. Turning, I see a werewolf has exploded through one of the windows in the ballroom. Oh, fuck. We move faster up the stairs. We hear more glass breaking. Growls vibrate through the air. We've reached the top of the stairs when the window in front of us suddenly explodes. 3 werewolves stand in front of us, their fur standing on end. their teeth clenched together and drool sliding down the sides of their mouths. All of us tense at once. We are ready to do whatever we must to protect Beauty. Slowly, I lower her to her feet and push her behind me. My hands curl into fists. The three of us can take on these three and clear a path to escape, but if the ones in the ballroom join the battle, we're screwed. A werewolf leaps at me, and I hear Beauty scream. My hands press onto its shoulders, keeping it back so that its massive jaws can't close over my face. With the strength of a vampire, I shove it back. The beast's back hits the stone railing with a crack, and it slides to the stairs. A second later, it shakes itself and climbs unevenly to its feet. I hear the growls and snarls of the werewolves attacking my brothers. The scent of blood fills the air, but I can't look to see if they need me. If I take my gaze from this predator for 1 second, I'm dead. Behind me, I sense more werewolves coming, slowly, quietly. My muscles tense. They're surrounding us. Soon they'll attack. Our blood will coat these stairs and our lives will fade away. We don't have a chance against these numbers. Glancing below us, I count 12 werewolves. How are there fucking 12 werewolves? We can't survive this, but maybe Beauty can. My gaze meets her horrified one. I grasp her waist, and with all my might, I throw her over the 2 werewolves battling my brothers. She hits the center of the broken glass and sprawls across the floor. For 1 second, I'm frozen, staring at her with her red dress spread around her. The broken glass shines like diamonds scattered around her on the floor. Please let her escape. Let her reach safety. Her escape is clear. She can leave all of us behind and leave this cursed life. Even though her life will no longer include us, all we ever needed was to know she was safe and happy. If she gets up, if she doesn't look back, she just might be. And then the werewolf leaps at me, and all else but our battle fades away.
5. Beauty. The glass cuts into my palms, and blood stains the floor around me. The pain breaks through my panic, and I feel something awaken within me, something I've never felt before. Climbing unsteadily to my feet, my vision sways and grows cloudy. My men are fighting, surrounded by murderous creatures who hate my family because of a centuries-old feud. I can't do anything to help them, not with my fragile human flesh. My brain feels like it's boiling, filling with a fire that spreads and burns through my veins. The growls of the werewolves fill the air, and the air is tinged with a coppery scent of blood. Below us, I see werewolves attacking the sleeping bodies of the vampires. None have reached my father yet, and I can't let them. It doesn't matter what it costs me, or that my human body is fragile and useless. I take a step and hiss. My shoes are gone, and my bare feet feel the glass slicing into my flesh so acutely that I hesitate. Something's wrong with me. Really wrong with me. My heated blood feels hotter and hotter. I grip my head, trying to find some relief from the pain. I can feel my blood pounding in my ears and sliding over my skin. And then my jaw begins to ache. And the aching grows until a scream catches in my throat. Opening my mouth, I try to let my pain tear free from my lips. But instead, I feel fangs descend, and everything changes in an instant. I hit the ground and my blood grows icy cold. My wounds no longer hurt, and my body feels strange. I feel stronger, powerful beyond anything I imagine. My tongue touches my fangs and I smile. Hundreds of bright lights fill my vision, and with a nudge I awaken them, our undead army. I command them to come to our aid, to free our lands of these intruders. Because now, I rule these lands, and them. Standing, I crunch through the glass, no longer feeling the pain. My undead soldiers arise from the stairs and launch into an attack. They pull the werewolves away from the Blackwater brothers, and 4 soldiers rise beside my father's throne and attack the werewolves who prey upon the sleeping vampires. In seconds, more undead flood the ballroom. I start down the stairs, grip the neck of a werewolf attacking Joshua, and snap its neck,
tossing it to the ground. He's busy with 2 others, his body covered in bloody bites, his gaze desperate. Kicking out, I send another werewolf flying. Joshua finally manages to get a good grip on the remaining werewolf. He tosses the creature into a wall. The werewolf's body slides to the floor, unmoving. Werewolves run for the windows to escape. I watch them run, sending my undead after them with just a thought. I feel strange, more like a creature of magic than a vampire. But then, I didn't know what it felt like to be a vampire until now.
You were supposed to run,
Joshua says between pants. I move to stand beneath this tall, sexy man. Standing on my tiptoes, I kiss him, tasting his blood as I do. My cold blood heats, but I push him back. Another 2 steps down the stairs takes me to Kyle. I grab his shirt and pull him close for another kiss. When I release him, he swears and tries to pull me back. I step out of his reach. Farther down the stairs, I simply brush my lips against Andrew's, ignoring his attempt to capture my lips once more. Later, I promise him. I'll hold you to it, he says, the desire in his voice like a hand slipping along my spine. I walk through the ballroom. My red dress is too long in my bare feet, and it's strange to feel it trailing through blood as I do so. I step over my father's slumped form on the floor and sit in his throne chair. Smiling out at the chaos, the vampiress within me purrs in satisfaction. This throne is mine. This house, all our houses and lands, it all belongs to me. My gaze connects with my 3 men. They're mine too. Wake them up, I command. Joshua steps forward, a proud warrior even covered in blood.
We can't.
I cock my head. Then who can? The men exchange a glance. We don't know. The spell, it was found in an old fairy tale. We weren't even sure it would work. My mind spins for a moment before I remember the tale. Shouldn't our kiss have awakened everyone? Kyle frowns. Not necessarily. A spell this powerful would need energy stronger than that from a kiss. I cross my legs slowly. Would the 3 of you fucking me be enough? None of them answer for a long minute. Andrew's lips twist into a cocky grin. I'd be willing to give it a try. I raise a brow. Come on then. I am the blood heir to the most powerful clan in North America, and I claim you 3 as my own. So now, do as I command. Come fuck your queen and wake these vampires. I want them off my lands. The men move toward me slowly. I watch them, overcome by their strength and by how handsome they are. When they reach the end of the dais, I'm humming with a need for them. So this is what it feels like to turn for the first time. No wonder it's usually celebrated with an orgy. These 3 better be ready for a long night. Take your clothes off, I command them. The 3 men exchange a look and then obey. Slowly, I tell them.
The intimate scene has been removed to comply with YouTube standards. To listen to what you're missing, I have included several places to find it below this video.
All the people awaken, staring around themselves in confusion. Stretching my mind out, I reach for my undead. The wolves are gone from our lands, and they stand guard. I command the household ones to return, and soundlessly they surround the room. At last, the confused people look to where I stand, naked and surrounded by my men, their blood spilling down my chin. I smile. I have turned, and now I'm the queen of these lands, as I was always meant to be. Perhaps it's my imagination, but I swear I can smell their fear. They would be foolish not to fear me. My lands and undead are 10 times that of their lands and armies combined. Tonight they treated me like a blood whore. Tonight they drank and bid on my body. If you aren't gone from my lands in 10 minutes' time, I will have my undead rip you apart piece by piece. Their gazes move to the undead that surround the room, and people begin to rise in a hurry. But my stepmother moves to me instead, bowing her head before my throne. Surely you won't kick us out. We're your family. She looks up and meets my unyielding gaze. Think of your father. And I do. My father was a good man to me, until he decided that he couldn't wait to see if the rumors were true, that sometimes half-breeds take longer to turn, until he decided that he would let his daughter be sold and broken and abused. Our smallest holding is in a little town of no significance. I am told that it lacks the refinement of our other holdings. You and my father may reside there, but never again think to contact me. Never again think you can use my kindness for your own benefit. Her nose wrinkles. You can't surely mean to. My father grabs her by the shoulders and hauls her to her feet, his expression thunderous. Shut your mouth before we both end up dead. Then he bows his head to me and hauls her from the room. The others are rushing out, but I look away from them. They no longer matter to me. Only my 3 men matter. My 3 consorts. I touch each of them gently. You came for me after all this time. Joshua's brilliant green eyes darken.
You had to know it was always you. There was never anyone else for us.
Kyle tilts his head.
We could never have allowed you to be sold or hurt. You're ours to protect.
My heart races. And now, you're mine to protect. Andrew grins. What exactly do we need to do in return for this protection? I pretend to think. There will be a ceremony to announce our blood bond. There will be rings we'll need to exchange. And then you should make sure that you're comfortable on your knees, because you'll be spending a lot of time in that position. His grin widens. I think we can handle that. I try to hide my pleasure at his answer. And have you ever been chained to a bed? Andrew raises a brow. No, but I have a feeling I will be. Finally, I do smile. Then we should all get along just fine. I stand and walk across the floor, the marble covered in the blood of my enemies. Clean this up, I order my undead, and then bring refreshments to my room. The creatures launch into action. Starting up the bloodied stairs, I feel strange. I'd never imagined I'd feel comfortable standing naked in a room full of people. I never imagined that I'd enjoy seeing my naked men kneel before me as an audience looked on to see my clear dominance of them. But I do. I think I'm perfectly suited to being a vampire. To being a queen.
You know we made a lot of enemies today.
Joshua calls after me. I turn to look back at my alpha. Well, do you know any more fairy tales? He frowns, but Kyle is the one to answer.
This whole sleeping beauty spell was a one-time thing.
Before I can answer, Andrew cuts in. But I have always wanted to try that frog prince spell. Maybe some Rapunzel hair magic? I smile. Well, I imagine it'll take a while for the vampires and wolves to lick their wounds and come up with a plan. So why don't we take some time upstairs? If you're good. Maybe I'll let you try a few things on me. My men leap to their feet and start up the stairs, which makes me smile. I've missed them for so long. I knew they were mine from the beginning, and now the future I always imagined for us is ours. In that moment, I make a promise to myself. No matter what happens in the days to come, these men are mine to love and protect. And I'll do it well, no matter how many bodies have to fall in my wake. 6. Somewhere in a shithole town in the middle of nowhere, 3 months later. Ella. My anger boils as I scrub the soot from beside the fire. My apron is stained, my hair is a mess, and my life is ruined. All because of Beauty. I despise her with every inch of my being. All she had to do was not turn. If she'd just remained a human, I could have had her free from my life forever. I could have remained on the throne beside my husband, the most powerful queen in all the clans. The kitchen door crashes open. The lord and his wife want their tea. I glare up into the big face of the head maid, a woman I've also added to my list of people to kill. They'll get it when they get it. She marches up to me and kicks me hard in the stomach. I fall into the ashes in the fireplace, coughing as I try to draw in a breath. Isn't it enough my husband took on a second wife to continue to afford the things he likes?
Isn't it enough that he blames me for losing his daughter's love? I have to be this ash-covered servant, too? Start the fire, boil their water, and get your ass in gear. You know his beautiful, young wife doesn't like to be kept waiting. I climb into a sitting position and sneer at her. Do you have any idea who I once was? Do you have any idea? She cuts me off. It doesn't matter, because now all you are is a cinder woman, and that's all you'll ever be. As she leaves the room, I pile wood into the fire. That woman, she's going to regret everything she's done to me, because in order to become a true queen once more, all I have to do is kill my husband's new wife. And beauty. I smile. How hard could such a thing really be? This has been Beauty with a Bite, a paranormal reverse harem romance, Foxy Fairy Tales Book 1, written by Lacey Carter Andersen, narrated by Danny Ryan. Copyright 2019 by Lacey Carter Andersen. Production copyright by Lacey Carter Andersen. Thank you for listening.